Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to work on installing a splitter on the 88 CRX SI today. These splitters are the Maxpeedingrods brand. They're made for the EG and DC model, but I don't know if you guys had seen my video before. In the upper right hand corner you can click on the link. I made a splitter for my 91 Civic SI using the PCI brackets, that little garden edging, and some plywood. We're going to do the same process on the CRX today. If you haven't seen that video before, you can go through and show you all the parts I'm using. Riv nuts on the frame rail, some little aluminum L-beam to hold the garden edging to the plywood itself, and then of course splitter brackets have their own hardware, and this hardware they use for, I guess, mounting it up here, but we're not going to use that because we're going to use the riv nuts and some aftermarket hardware. In the last video, I mounted these by drilling holes, putting a bolt and nut, and that took a lot longer. What I'm going to use this time, these are some like roofing screws that I had been using to fix some of the panels on my garage. Not necessarily fix, I was just adding some support around some of the base. And we're going to just use these today, drill those in there. It'll be a lot faster than drilling all of the holes throughout the entire plywood itself. And these are just self-starting, they'll go in relatively quickly also. And then if they stick out a little further on the bottom, I'll just take it to my grinder and knock off the tips of them. Now the CRX has obviously some frame rail damage. It's pushed in a little bit. You can see it. Let me show you guys. Right up in here. It's pushed back and wrinkled a little bit. So on this side, see how it's not super flat here? Normally when mounting this, I want it to be as flat as possible because that's how I did it on the other side. I'm just gonna have to take a hammer to it and try to flatten it out as much as possible. The top and the left riv nut should be perfectly fine. This other one, we're gonna try to get it looking a little bit better. And let me show you by going to the driver's side. As you can see on here, like everything's nice and flat and flush, like there's no issues with it at all. Alright, here we go with the passenger side done. Really easy, simple install since I knew exactly what I was doing already. I used a hammer and just kind of hammered down a little flat on the inside where it was bent, but no issues there. Now it looks like this is going to work perfectly fine on this side. I'm going to mount the other one really quickly and then get the plywood mounted up really quick too. Alright, I got both of those mounted up. Now I can put the bumper back on and we can start working on the plywood and the air dam itself. Here's a little update. Got the wood panel on, holding it up with some jack stands. Just trying to make sure I get it lined up where I want it to be. Inside, down there, I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but I have a little line drawn out. I'm going to cut out the wood that's close to the exhaust manifold or slash header. And then just get the holes drilled here so I can get this mounted, and then we can start working on the air dam and getting that bracketed up as well. And here it is, mounted up on its own now. Let's move to the next step. And this play experience right here, if you're curious, that is from like these. Once we get it set up, we're gonna go ahead and tighten these bolts here. That way it holds it and it doesn't have any slack. Because right now, if I remove the pin, we can essentially pull them off. But we're not gonna do that right now. Here I just finished cutting all my brackets, and right now we went ahead and kind of traced out the line of the bumper. We were holding a little edging up against it to kind of have a rough idea. So now we're just going to drill these in. I'm going to pull them in a little bit so they're a little bit tight. I'm going to use those roofing screws that I talked about. And then we'll get the lip mounted. If I need to adjust these, it'll be easy. I can just back them out and kind of redo them where I want them to be. Now with all those finished up, we're gonna drill some holes into this. We're gonna use the rivets. Got my rivet gun over here. That's where we're gonna get this mounted, just like the old one. All right, and I got all the rivets attached with all the little braces. I'm gonna fit it on there, cut the ends off, and then determine how much I want to cut off for the plywood itself. And so after initial fit, that air dam looks pretty solid on here. This side came out really nice and tight. This one I'm gonna pull off real quick. And basically all I gotta do is take out the bolt, the screw from the inside, and move both these in a little bit. It'll pull it tighter against the bumper right there. But other than that, I think it came out really nice. Looks really sharp so far. So now I just need to determine how big I want to make it. Mine had to have been, I think this was about 4 inches. I think I'm only going to make it about 3, maybe even 2 inches. This is going to be a little more sleek. Maybe just 2 inches all the way around, like this much sticking out all the way around the entire front of the car. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of trace that line. I'm going to draw it up, see if I like where it looks, and then we're going to go ahead and cut it. So that right there was a 3-inch extension I used. I think I'm gonna leave it there, and because, you know, if I cut too small and I don't like it, then I'm kind of SOL. For this I can just do 3 inches. I think I like it a little bit smaller here, maybe like 2 inches, and then match up with the 3 inches. But I'm just gonna cut it there and leave that alone for the moment and see how it looks. Here's a small look at it on the floor. I think it looks fantastic. The way I've built these splitters for the EF chassis, I think it looks really, really cool, and that lip is just so aggressive now. Instead of having like an aftermarket lip, this one comes out really cool. I'm just gonna tape it off really quickly and get it painted, and then we are done installing this. We just need to get out there and test it out at the track. And honestly, I don't see there being any issues with the brackets in there. Unless you're gonna hit something that's naturally gonna destroy any bracket, but the quality of them, the fitment, I got to work on the EF chassis. Really, really nice. I like these splitter brackets. The cost is definitely worth it. Go ahead and visit their website. I'll link it up here on the screen. But really, really cool that they made that product as well. Now we got the coilovers on here. We got the traction bar, and now the splitter bracket. So we got a couple of Maxpeedingrods product on the CRX project. And here I got the splitter finished off. I'm just gonna go ahead and start painting it. I'm gonna paint it black. I'm just gonna stick with that color for now. It looks simple. I'm also gonna paint the center area where potentially could drip any sort of oil or fluid. I'll probably skip the ends because there's not really anything over here on both sides. Plus I don't wanna paint the brackets black either. So I'm gonna get that knocked out really quick, and I'll get you one last look of the splitter mounted on the car with the brackets.
Perfect, 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 perfect.
There it is, guys. Got a fresh coat of paint on it. Actually, a couple coats. It's a little shiny right now because I just painted it and it's still drying. It'll take a little bit to dry. It's a satin, so it'll look a lot more similar to the one that's on my hatchback. I almost forgot to add, obviously if you're building something like I did, you no longer have your stock toe mount, and you're gonna need something in case you get stuck if you are tracking your car. So what I used, this is one of those little eBay toe straps. I've had, this one used to be on the back of my Civic hatch. I've had it forever, so what I did, I just bolted it up on the top hole here, added some more Loctite again, and this should be perfect. They can just hook it onto here and pull me out of the dirt if I need to, and then I can just throw it back in here, keep it out of the way. So keep that in mind if you need a tow hook on your car. You're gonna need to devise something similar to this nature. And here's our last look at the brackets. No issues. They seem to work perfectly fine. Of course, it'll be even easier to bolt up to an EG or DC with the already built-in tow hook holes for this particular bracket. Doesn't look like they have one made specifically for the 8891 Civic or CRX, so you could do something as to what I did in this video. You know, they're built well. I have no issues with them. The only thing that I think the other brands have to offer is they create this piece out of aluminum and not steel. And what that does, obviously if you smash into something and you hit this thing is going to crumple and deform before it starts to bend your frame rail. So that's Probably the only thing that it could be better if this was made out of aluminum. You can see right here, I have one of these Rock Auto magnets. It sticks perfectly to it. So this is steel along with the bracket, but for the price point, it's not bad. I already have a damaged frame rail. I can't really do a whole lot more, I think, to it in terms of getting it replaced in the future, which it's not gonna happen. If that happens on this car, so be it. It is a track car. It's completely what we use it for, just for a lot of fun. But that's the only thing I think they could do in terms of creating a better product, is making this out of aluminum so it does crumple a little bit better instead of potentially damaging a car. Hope you guys liked the video today. Thanks for tagging along, and we shall see you next week.